Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week of Hard Cam Heat. Road takes are hot, the filter is gone, pipe bombs might get dropped, and nothing in wrestling is safe. So let's get into the last week. I am going to start by saying that I'm going to do things differently. Normally, I read off my notes and just I keep listening to it back and it just doesn't sound natural. I've redone this video 4 times now, and I, again, just want to keep it simple, sweet, and get to the basic points, breeze over the non-important factors, and sound like I know what the fuck I'm talking about, because I probably forgot more yesterday than most people know about wrestling. So I would like to hold myself accountable and make it seem like I'm telling the truth in that statement. Alright, so Monday Night Raw, 3.5 stars, B- grade. Brock Lesnar came out, Paul Heyman, and a bunch of cops, aka enhancement talent. Paul Heyman says that he has a lawyer friend out in Texas because that's where they had the show that night. Says that the lawyer friend got Brock Lesnar a restraining order against Obafemi, meaning that Obafemi could not come within 100 feet of Lesnar. Heyman also called Brock Lesnar a law-abiding citizen during this, and I have to touch on that because I find it so fucking ironic. If you know, you know. If you don't, look it up. Out came Obafemi, though. Pretty much absolutely ignored everything Paul Heyman said. Demolished these cops' enhancement talent. He told Brock that he's not a beast anymore. He runs away all the time. Pretty much end of the segment there. Later on, they had Adam Pearce and Obafemi talk, and Adam Pearce told Obi that they weren't real. Nothing of it was real. There was no restraining order. The cops are fake. Oba says he knows. He says that means that they're scared, which he's correct in. And wait till we see what he does at Hell in a Cell. So that's going to be a fucking monstrous match. I cannot wait for that. I'm just going to touch on this match really quick. Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez. It was very botchy, and it really surprised me that it was botchy because they're both super fucking talented. Great athletes. I think it must have been like a communication breakdown or something, because I really can't imagine it being like naturally that botchy. But anyway, Judgment Day interfered. Io fought him off, got the win. After that, Judgment Day attacked again. Sol Ruka came out, got her ass handed to her for doing so, and then they took the attack back to Io, hit her in the championship, hit her in the face with the championship. It's interesting that Sol Ruka involved herself here, so we'll see what that leads to. There was a segment between the Vision, Otis, and Tozawa. Basically, Otis proclaimed his feelings for Maxine. Maxine faked him out, making him think like, damn, I got feelings too. And Theory hit him with the low blow. After he got hit with the low blow, Maxine tells him, like, I would never be with you type deal. So hopefully that match is at SummerSlam and that feud can come to a fucking end. It's boring. I have zero interest in it personally. They were going to a commercial, and then during the commercial break, Jimmy Uso was coming out. Royce Keys jumped him from behind. He got Samoa dropped onto an announce table. There was a match. Jacob Fatu arrived to the arena during the match. He saw what was going on, stormed the ring, hit Royce. Disqualification. He kept saying, I tried to tell you not to get involved. I didn't want to have to do this. He started beating him with the chair. Enter Solo Sikoa. He says, stop hitting him. Leave him alone. I understand now. Blood's thicker than water. He holds his ones up. Jimmy and Jacob follow suit and hold the ones up. And then you see Solo turn that one into his thumb and nail Jimmy with the Samoan spike. The four of them start brawling. LA Knight comes out with a chair to, save Solo and Royce. Knight tells Jimmy and Jacob to go find the unfortunate event Jey Uso and get him ready for a match, a 3-on-3 match at SummerSlam. I thought the fact that he called him the unfortunate event was quite hilarious, so I had to add that. But yeah, so we got the Usos and Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys at SummerSlam. So that should be a banger. The SummerSlam card's filling up a lot. Paul Heyman definitely left the vision, in my opinion. They were backstage, wanted to know if he was proud, like if they're like back on the same page and shit. And he just looked at them and said, "You got Maxine, she's so good, what the hell do you need me for?" And I think, personally, that that's the end of it. He's done with the vision. And I honestly hope so. I just hope that they go away. Because they're cursed. There was a promo for Hell in a Cell matches where it was going through the history of them, which was nice. I mean, you get to look back at the history of the match itself. Leaving Mick Foley out of that because of bitterness is fucking criminal. And they can't even blame it on that he's in AEW now because they showed Moxley fucking 30 minutes earlier. So I don't know. That shit pissed me off. That's just a bitter, gross thing to do. Bayley called out Lyra, who looks unwell, I'll say. Lyra said that Bayley should be apologizing for holding her back for a year. Says that she lied to her about all the good things she said. Called her the worst of the 4 horsewomen, which I do not agree with. They have a match at Saturday night's main event, which I will get into later in this podcast. And it ended with Lyra hitting Bayley with her own finishing move, the Bayley to Belly. I'm going to breeze through this real quick. Intercontinental Gauntlet. Start out with Dom Mysterio versus Joe Henry. Dom advanced. Dom versus Javon Evans. Danhausen cost Dom. Evans versus Dragon Lee. At one point, Javon looked like he had a heel look in his eyes, and I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but he tweeted out, I'm sick of losing. So I wonder if they're going to, heel turn him, but I think that would be such a bad booking move. But we'll see. Anyway, Javon advanced. Then he had a match with Rusev. Rusev attacked him from behind. Rusev won. Yeah, Rusev won. Sorry. But Javon had a crazy ass run. He got out of the Accolade fucking 3 or 4 times, which I don't remember seeing many people do. So then it was Gable versus Rusev. Gable won. Rusev put him in the Accolade after that was over. Out came Ethan Page to think that he was going to get a quickie, and he did not. Gable ended up beating him. So it will be Chad Gable versus Penta for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam in Chad Gable's hometown. So can we all just agree that Penta is dropping this title? And then we had the contract signing between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. I am going to read from my notes on this one because I don't want to get anything that was said wrong. Also, is Roman Reigns a heel or a babyface? Because I thought that he was going into this a heel and Seth was the babyface. But out he comes and he's high-fiving kids on his fucking entrance. Is a babyface versus babyface? Am I oblivious and Seth is a heel? I don't know. But, anyways, Roman Reigns says that the only thing that Seth is number 1 at is being his number 1 hater. Says Reigns has always been... No, sorry. Reigns says that he has always been number 1, Seth has always been number 2. And then he asks him, what's going to happen if you do when you're going to have the title, and then you're gonna go get hurt a couple of months later. Says it happens every time. And he's not wrong. He says that Seth can't handle the weight of the company and being the top guy. Seth gets back in the ring because after he signed the contract, he had dipped out, like walking up the ramp like it was all over with. uh, Roman Reigns said that Triple H is Seth's work daddy. I thought that was funny. Seth says Roman's not saying anything to him that he hasn't thought of for the past 15 years, but at some point he had to look at himself in a mirror and be proud of himself. He says that he's glad he's not Reigns. Big shock. The contract signing ended in a fight. I will tell you the big surprise here is the table did not get busted. It almost did, but Seth fought out of the powerbomb he was about to get and got the better of Roman Reigns. So that's how the show ended. Not bad, you know. Average show, I guess. Next up, we had NXT 3 stars from me, C plus grade. Lillian Garcia was back. It's always great to hear her voice. We saw Vanity Project retain their titles, which then backstage, Miles and Tavion Heights were talking about, you know, how they get the tag team titles back. And then Cam Hendricks ended up interrupting and being a complete menace as always. Throughout the night, we see Saquon Sugars talking to people backstage to try to get them to help him in his fight against Darkstate next week. So we saw him talk to OTM and I believe, Hank and Tank and EK Prosper. Basically, they all told him, like, hey, made your own bed now, you gotta lie in it, dude. There was a part during that, too, with OTM where they saw, like, after they had the interaction with Sugars, they saw Birthright, and Lexus told Lucian that Bronco went off without him to AAA to be with his family, and that Lucian never had one here. Tells them to settle it themselves and not bother them anymore. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but it might get something brewing for that tag team to start splitting soon. I finally got my answer as to why we took fucking Shiloh Hill's fucking tooth. Been waiting on that all week. And during those, someone yells at Tristan Angels to get a haircut. But anyway, Tristan Angels came out, and he said that he took the tooth so that Hill can't fool us anymore into thinking he's normal. He ended up putting the tooth on the steel steps and smashing it to oblivion. And then on the Titantron, Shiloh Hill came on, and he said, "Can't help that the fog's coming. I can't help my smile, but you can't help that the fog's coming," is what he said. And then he started laughing absolutely maniacally, and it gave Bray Wyatt vibes. So I don't know if they're trying to make Shiloh Hill like the next Bray Wyatt. They should have done it with his brother, Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, but can't be perfect all the time, right? They know that better than anybody. But I do love it, and I hope that, you know, because we love Bray Wyatt character. Nothing will ever come anywhere close to being like that. But I think it's a good direction for Shiloh Hill's character. There was an argument in the back. I don't think I brought it up earlier. Layla Diggs got hurt over the weekend, so she was supposed to face Zarya for the North American title. So that didn't end up happening this week. Instead, Izzy Dame, Lizzie Rain, and Nikita Lyons were all arguing in Stone's office. Natty also told Layla Diggs to shut up during this. So I think that Layla's going to leave Natty's little goon squad soon, so we'll see. But anyway, Fatal 4-Way instead for the North American title later on in the night. I'll just get right to that, actually. Lizzie Rain ended up hitting an RKO in it. They didn't call it an RKO, but it was clearly an RKO. And and somebody did it, I think I talked about it, but somebody did it last week on TNA or AEW. And I just think that that should be a Randy Orton move only. I think that it should be super protected in this business. just because of like how iconic he made it. It's so simple, but it's so iconic. But Izzy Dame also makes me think of Tiffany Stratton. They have like a lot of like very similar comparisons. There was a springboard German in that match, which was absolutely filthy. It was sick. I loved it. But Zarya ended up retaining the title. Natty and Carmen ended up coming out to attack Zarya. Jada Parker came in, beat up Natty and her friend, and um, so yeah, they helped. That Jada Parker helped Zarya retain. I also strongly believe that Zarya needs to go to the main roster soon. Tony D'Angelo versus Naraku next week for the title. Tony said that he didn't want to wait till then. So at the end of the show, we saw him beating the shit out of Naraku, and they changed it to a street fight for next week, basically. Reign of Vulcan will also debut next week. Saquon Sugars also did find his tag team, finally. Noam and Romeo Moreno are going to help him out next week against Stark State. The main event was the triple threat to see who's the number one contender for Kendall Gray's championship. We had Callie Armstrong, Kalani Jordan, and Lola Vice up. Before that happened, excuse me, Shawn Spears said that he started the colon and he's proud of all of them, but Nico Vance he is not proud of because he did not anticipate Shawn Spears coming back. They'll face off next week, it sounds like. But also next week, Natty versus Jada Parker. So, main event, back and forth the whole match. Kehlani hit a like diving move onto Armstrong. Lola Vice pushed her off to the outside and covered Armstrong to pick up the win. So Lola Vice is now the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship, and Kalani Jordan is probably going to bitch and complain about how it isn't fair and make more excuses. So that is it for NXT. Let's jump to TNA. 3.5 stars, B minus grade. We had M by Elegance versus Rosemary. M hit a drive-by in this match, and I don't know why it's such a simple move, but I love it. So beautiful. She picks up the win. She used champagne to miss Rosemary, so she advances in the tournament for the Knockouts TV title. System cuts a promo on how last week was a bad week, but they'll handle business this week. Bear Bronson versus Ricky Sosa, and then Cedric defends his X Division title versus Fabian Eichner later. We had AJ Francis versus Moose. There was one really bad spot. Moose went from a dive off the top rope, and AJ Francis speared the absolute living shit out of him. But Moose, like, his leg got caught under him, so I thought, like, it fucking snapped like Sid Vicious or something. But he ended up being alright, thank God. I love Moose. I think he's very entertaining to watch. AJ Francis also made me kind of look like a liar, because he did a cool running-ass knee in the corner, where he, like, flipped over the top rope and landed on his feet. It was weird. You'd have to, like, see it to... I'm not gonna describe it further, because I feel like I won't do justice to how cool it looked. So look it up. But, yeah, Kazarian ended up getting involved. He was on commentary. He got pissed that Moose knocked his popcorn out of his hand, so DQ. He threw Moose back into Francis for Francis to, finish him. Finish him. Just kidding. Finish the job. Even though it was DQ'd already, but, yeah, so Moose vs. Kaz is happening soon. Elena Black cut a promo on Wendy Chu, says she respected her, but she's going to the finals. I would like to disagree because of what I'm about to say next. She says that she's going to be the greatest TNA knockout in history. Xia Brookside came in, disagreed, and Black says that Brookside's scared of her and walks off. So clearly they're hinting at like something happening between Xia Brookside and Elena Black, possibly the next feud for the title, which makes me think that Elena Black will not go further in this tournament. We'll see though. Mustafa Ali and the Order 4 came out for the State of the Order address. Tasha Steelz seemed to be struggling to keep her mouth shut because he just kept like berating them, saying all they're doing is failing. He keeps getting disappointed. Says that the Order 4 needs help, needs someone to help them get their head out of their asses, which isn't that his job. I thought that's what he was doing. But anyway, he brings up the newest member of the Order 4, the Secretary of Strategic Affairs, Mila Moore. Order 4 is not happy, especially Tasha. I think she's going to be leaving the group soon if they all don't. Tasha Steelz had some of the funniest fucking facial expressions I have ever seen during this entire segment. So, my advice, look it up. It's hilarious. He also says at the end of it that he's going to give the power to the roster to vote who should be the new #1 contender for the International Championship. Now, wouldn't everybody say themselves, it doesn't make sense to me. Because who's whatever. I digress. Moving on. The Righteous got a invite from the Hardys to go to the Hardy compound. I love that. Alright. Bear Bronson versus Ricky Sosa. Brian Myers was out with Bronson. Pretty much back and forth through most of the match, but it ended up with Bear kicking out of a pin that sent Ricky Sosa flying into Brian Myers, which distracted Sosa, which helped Bear Bronson pick up the win. Pretty surprised Ricky Sosa lost, to be honest, but makes sense with the numbers game, you know? Numbers always prevail. Backstage, we saw Moose ask Elijah to tag next week to take out AJ, Francis, and Kaz. Harley Hudson versus Thea Hale. Hudson's a little thing, and she grabbed Thea by the hand and lifted her like she was nothing. Like, just straight off the hand. Like, her forearms have to be so strong. Very impressive. Back and forth. Thea Hale hit a coffin drop off the second rope to get the win, though. So she advances in the Knockouts TV tournament. Nick Namath is out. Pretty much cut a promo of how great he is. Big shocker there. That's all he does. Talks about the world wanting his title. KC came out, cuts him off. Nick stops his music, saying serious inquiries only, kid. Every time KC tries talking, Nick won't let him. Like, literally just kept cutting him off every single time that he, like, yeah. You get the point. But he tells him to get out of the ring, so he does. He walks up the ramp. KC does the same promo that Nick did as Ziggler when he was like, you can give and you can give. That whole promo. Wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. It was a beautiful moment, honestly. I thought it was very impactful, very powerful, and a good touch on what this whole thing could be. He says that the title would prove bullies and haters wrong, including Namath. He wants a title shot next week. Nick says if KC promises to leave him alone for good, then they can have a match. So, next week, we got them two for the title. Cedric Alexander versus Fabian Aichner for the X Division title. Aichner got Cedric frustrated early. Also caught Alexander on his shoulders and fully squatted him. So that's another fucking feat of strength right there. Fucking strong. There's some nice apron spots during the commercial break. I love that. You know how much I love that. Every fucking show, I swear to God. Since I started doing this podcast, I have not seen one show that doesn't do it at least once in their episode. It's crazy. Anyway, if it wasn't so common, it'd be sick, but it's just what. Anyway, the match is off the chain, completely off the chain. That's what X Division is all about. Uh, back in like 2010s, I was hardcore into the X Division matches. Cedric got a rape of the eyes. Oh my god. A rake of the eyes. I don't know what just happened, but we're just gonna not act like that just happened. Uh, yeah, so Cedric got a rake of the eyes and pulled Eichner towards the ropes to dump him outside. Ugly landing. Eddie Edwards came down, takes out Eichner. Cedric retained. I definitely see a rematch happening. They jump him after the match, so Ricky Sosa came to help, and then Leon Slater came out to help Sosa, so that's how that one ended. Alright. Then we got AEW Dynamite. 3.5 stars, B- grade. Copen Cage took on Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. Pretty much, Cope got his ass handed to him the entire match. Yuta got popped up into a spear. Copen Cage retained. Young Bucks were shown, so that's probably the next feud. The Dogs and Claudio attacked them from behind too, and then the Bang Bang Gang came out to make the save. David Finlay was going to hit Christian with the shillelagh until Jay White made that save. He had it in his hands. Christian didn't trust him worth a shit. But then Cope calmed down the situation. Andrade took on Jake Doyle. If Andrade won, he was going to face Mark Davis for the national championship. He cut a pre-match promo saying that if he has to take every title from the Don Callis family, that he will. He shows that he has MJF's ring, says that Will Ospreay gifted it to him last week. After that promo and before the match, I can't say it, conglomeration gets attacked backstage by the Demand. Distracted by the Demand and attacked by Jay Lethal and his crew. So, that's a thing. Alright, Andrade vs. Jake Doyle. Doyle started out with power. Andrade gets back in it with some lucha spots. Takes off his shirt to reveal a Fuck Don and Fuck MJF shirt. Loved it. Jack Doyle chokeslams Andrade awkwardly into, guess what? The ring apron. Very awkwardly. But anyway, took over with his power again. Kept going back and forth with the power. Luchador moves the whole match. At the end of the day, Andrade picks up the win next Sunday at Redemption. Andrade versus Mike Davis for the national championship. Then we had a Kenny Omega live celebration. Young Bucks came out, gave him the original AEW championship to wear. Kenny cut a promo thanking the crowd for believing in him, promises that we'll see the best version of him. Out comes Will Ospreay. He asks the Young Bucks if they can leave so that he can have a one-on-one talk with Omega. Says, which they do. He says it's good to see Kenny as champ again. Says Kenny needed to believe in himself to get that. He says Kenny is back. Like, Kenny is back to being himself, basically. Calls him his hero for the past 10 years. Says every time he steps into the ring, it's a tribute to Kenny, which I thought was a very beautiful thing to say. Says at Wembley, let's show this is where the best wrestle, meaning promotion, obviously. Out came Kevin Knight, says he still owed title shot because of MJF. He asked for a title shot at Redemption. Omega says he doesn't owe him anything that MJF promised him, which is valid, but he'll give him a chance because he's a nice guy, and that he saw something special in Knight since the day he saw him. And then he says that he ruined that the second that he went out and aligned himself with Don Callis, but he says that he gets it because he did the same during the Corona time. Said it took his self-worth and put it down the toilet. But he says that he still believes in him. Speedball believes in him. Ospreay believes in him. Says he doesn't need him. Says he doesn't need him to be Kevin. Hold on. Pretty much, he just said like, "I'll fight you, but you got to do it without the Callis family." Pretty much, that's where it's at. Knight says he has no goodness left in his heart, because that was another point that Kenny made, was like, I know you still got good in you. And he said, no, I don't. And pretty much attacked him. Ospreay went after him, but he ducked out. But then he got attacked by Darby, who got taken out by Cage. It was just a whole fuckery at the end of that. I don't really remember that part, to be honest. So that's why I'm kind of stuttering through that. But yeah, the parts I remembered, I did pretty good on. Jack Perry cut a promo backstage saying he's starting Chapter 2. Says this one will be about breaking through to the other side, looking for a match next week. Luchasaurus is also shown with him, and I don't really think he's been shown that much, because I know he's dealing with medical issues. So it was refreshing to see him on the screen. We have Brodito versus Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto. Which Aaron Solo is Bayley's ex-fiance, to those who don't know that. Anyway, Nick Comoroto also gave some Bruiser Brody vibes, but Bandito got the win. Obviously, it was a quick squash match. Fletcher was in a backstage interview, says he's ready for Commander. Brodito comes and interrupts while celebrating and puts a wanted poster on Fletcher. So, assuming that Fletcher versus Bandito is going to be a thing. I think it was actually confirmed on Collision. We'll get to that later. Fletcher versus Commander for the International Championship. Fletcher with this fucking buzz cut looks like, and the pink glasses. It looks like a mini Don Callis, which is so unfortunate. So unfortunate. But, Commander got a few moves in early, but Fletcher got back into it fast. Not for long, though. It kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The running the rope spot that Commander does is sick. Like, he walks the ropes and then jumps off them. It's another thing you should look up. It's really cool to watch. It shows insane balance. He really impressed me this entire match. He basically was ahead the entire second half of the fight. Gives Dragon Lee or Ray Phoenix vibes. I don't know. Maybe they trained together or something. And then Fletcher retained. Hell of a match. Fletcher attacked Commander after the match. Takeshita came out with a save, grabbed the title. Okada came out, knocks him out, goes to grab the title at the same time as Kyle Fletcher. Bandito comes out and blindside springboard drop kicks them both. So, yeah. That's a thing. Backstage, Darby says to Kenny Omega that he's gonna beat up Kevin Knight. It's not worth talking. It's worth beating it out of him, because he was kind of pissed off that Kenny was taking the time to try to talk some sense into Kevin Knight. So he says he's gonna beat it out of him, and says that he'll get the TNT title off him next week, and he leaves. Moxley enters and says some people are what they are, and there's no changing that. So maybe that's a little hint. I think Ospreay is going to be turning heel at Wembley at All In. So we'll see. And I think that's going to be because of Moxley and the Death Riders. Renee brought out the Brawling Birds, referred to themselves as Brits with the tits. Okay. I love it. Says they're the best tag team in AEW. We get told that Jericho vs. Ciampa is going to be at Redemption, and Jericho's bringing back the Painmaker gimmick. Dope. Love that. Especially because, what the hell does Ciampa go by? Psycho Killer? It's like a psycho clown, so Psycho Clown Killer? I don't know. Anyway, we had Brian Cage versus Darby Allin. Darby attacked before the bell, went for a suicide dive. He hit Cage right in the chest and bounced right off of him. Like, literally, forehead to chest bounce. It's crazy. And it didn't even phase Cage at all. But, I know Darby's light, but anytime that Cage lifts him up, it's like he's a fucking child. There was suplex onto the ramp. Darby took a lot of punishment early. He came back and got some offense in after the commercial break. Cage took over again by gorilla pressing Darby and tossing him headfirst into the ring post. It was a wild spot to watch. It's like a fucking David and Goliath thing, you know? But, there was a coffin drop onto the steel steps as Cage came in to beat the count. Darby nailed him with another one. And then again another one. And that's how he picked up the win over Brian Cage. So Darby Allin, winner. My dude. Okada and Fletcher were backstage. Fletcher says he's afraid of no one and he will defend against everyone. So he accepted Bandito's challenge for the International Championship at Redemption. Kevin Knight was backstage with Don Callis. Don cuts off Renee. He says that Kevin's too smart for his mind games to Kenny. Says Kenny only got anything good because of him. Speedball Mike Bailey comes to talk tonight. Says he hopes Kevin will go back to being himself and that the crowd loves him enough to forgive him. So I think eventually Kevin Knight's going to turn back into a good guy too. Maybe at the time. Oh, I just thought of this. Alright, hear me out. Wembley, all in. Moxley gets Will Ospreay to turn heel against Kenny Omega. And then Kenny Omega needs somebody to help fight them. So he asks Kevin Knight, and Kevin Knight turns into a good guy. Boom! I think I got this. Huh. Anyway, Mercedes Monet and Divine Dominion defeated Willow Nightingale and Maya World and Hyan. Very underwhelming main event, if I'm being honest. No offense to Hyan, but they weren't going to have Maya or Willow lose momentum, so she was obviously picking up the L here. Nor would Monet's team lose this match. I feel like it should have been a mid-card match. I don't think it should have been the main event at all. We're going to go to SmackDown now. 3 stars. C grade. Gunther opened up the show, says how he's been mistreated since joining SmackDown. Says Nick's jealous that he should be the WWE champ and everyone knows it and it's all Nick's fault and boo-hoo, cry, bitch. Says Nick made it personal, calls Sammy a bum and beneath him, doesn't want to tag with him at Saturday night's main event. Says he won't stand for it. Out comes Adam Pearce. He says Gunther should say thank you to Aldis for saving his job. Says if it was Monday Night Raw, he'd be fired. There's going to be a stipulation tomorrow. If he wins tomorrow, him and Sami Zayn are added to SummerSlam for a fatal 4-way. Cody Rhodes rushed the match, or rushed the ring, and he attacked Gunther. Pearce tries calming him. Cody says enough. He says, he gets another stipulation. Where's the logic? He's pretty much bitching, like, why does he keep getting shit handed to him when he's just going against all of the authority? There was a backstage promo that Rhea isn't cleared yet, and we don't know when she will be. So 5 women will compete in a ladder match at SummerSlam to crown an interim champion until Rhea Ripley returns. Big news there. Participants will be decided in qualifiers over the next 2 weeks. Absolutely fucking insane news on that. I'll tell you my thoughts on it in a minute. Then we had Finn Balor versus Tala Tonga. Tala took it to Finn early. At one point, Tala went for a big boot, got hung up on the top rope. Finn shook the ropes, and Joe Tessitore referred to it as fried onions. I've never heard that before in my life, but it was so fucking funny. Tama tried to interfere on the outside. He caught a sling blade, and then two coup de graces on Tala to get the win. Punk and Pierce were backstage. Punk was saying that he doesn't like the stipulation. He doesn't like Cody fighting Gunther tonight. Says that he's going to go talk to Cody. Damian Priest came up to Punk, says thanks for the shout out last week. But he says that if Punk still has the title after SummerSlam, that he's going to be waiting. Punk says, okay, but if he still has the tag titles, that him and Cody want to come after him. They give Nux, Punk walks off, in comes Truth, just being fucking R-Truth. All the women who were in the qualifiers cut a promo for that interim championship spot. Then we had Tiffany Stratton versus Jacy Jayne. Jacy Jayne had Fatal Influence attack Tiffy time before the bell. Paige and Brie came out to make the save, and even the odds gave Tiff time to gather herself. Match felt a little dragged out. Wasn't bad, but a little draggy, you know? You know what I mean by that? Like, not a bad match. It's just like it should have fucking ended 3 minutes ago. Anyway, Tiffy with the backhand spring cutter. That was dope as fuck, but that set her up for the win. She's in the ladder match at SummerSlam. Video package of Baron Corbin. He says everyone thinks that they're legit tough. He's the real deal. Trick's the first name on a long list. Mello was just collateral damage last week. He tells Trick, smile while he can. He's coming for it all. So then Trick talks now. He called Baron a bald-headed bitch. Says his title, the furry thing that I think is very itchy, and I know he sweats like a bitch in it. He says that title has more hair on it than Baron Corbin. In walks Carmelo. Trick says he needs to apologize for what he did to Yachty. Mello tells Trick he's better than him. Trick says he ain't done shit in 2 years on the main roster, and it took Trick only 7 months. It's got a point there, but I mean, Mello did have the US title at some point. Next up, we had Jade Cargill versus Nia. Charlotte came in and disrupted the match. She goes to stomp out Jade's arm in a chair, but Michin and B-Fab get her out. Nia's pissed at Charlotte because she got her DQ'd. Crushed her in the corner. Absolutely crushed her. Jade came back to the ring and hit a Jaded on Charlotte. Jade moves on to the ladder match at SummerSlam. So now I'm going to get back into my thing. I think to go back to the Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill feud that was not over, Jade's going to win the title at SummerSlam. And she's going to be the interim champ till Rhea gets back, and then that feud's continuing. So we'll see if I'm right there. Gunther says Cody's a golden boy and forces himself into Gunther's business. Randomly, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae came out, and Candice threatens him to not do anything stupid because we need this, is what she said. I assume her Johnny and Sammy, in my mind. I don't know. But anyway, after that segment was done, Blake Monroe attacked Candice LeRae after. She then tells Johnny that he needs a haircut, which was funny. I thought she was going to say, like, he needs to take a shower or something, but whatever. Nia and Lash are backstage with Adam Pearce bitching about Charlotte costing Nia. So next week we got Charlotte versus Nia. I think he said for another chance to get in the ladder match. Fraxium versus War Raiders. I'm going to try to read through this quick. War Raiders took it to him early. Fraxium gets momentum back, but doesn't last long. I didn't think this match would go longer than 5, but it's another dragged out match. That's why I want to breeze through this. Frazier had a nasty spot. The suicide dive that he did, half missed Ivar. It looked like he hit his face on the announce desk, and it made me. I think it was Mustafa Ali a couple years ago that did that shit. But yeah, gave me that vibe. But I don't know. That match was so long when the War Raiders were obviously gonna demolish Fraxium. I guess time filler, but boring as fuck. Danhausen was backstage for an interview. I don't even know how to explain it, but he was just there and hilarious. Gunther versus Cody Rhodes in the main event. Cody attacked Gunther during his entrance, uh, beat him around the ring, like physically, like around the outside of the ring, not inside the ring. But then they get in the ring. Bell goes, Cody goes for a disaster kick. Gunther dumps him to the outside, like high on his tailbone. Didn't look fun. They go back and forth for a bit. Gunther's targeting the leg of Cody. Out comes Punk, because Punk made the whole thing like he's gonna get hurt. He's being stupid. Gunther's gonna try to hurt him in this match. Cody told him to stay in the back. Punk comes out anyway when Gunther starts being aggressive, I'll say. Gunther mocks CM Punk once CM Punk gets there and goes for a GTS, but he fails. Continues beating Cody down anyways. Cody comes back and attacks Gunther's knee, puts him in a figure four. It's like a knee for a knee here. Sami Zayn attacked CM Punk from behind. Cody hit him with the suicide dive. And then Sami started attacking Cody, so we got a DQ. Gunther goes to put Cody through a table. CM Punk saves him. All four are brawling to end the show. And that's how that one went. So we're going to go to Saturday night's main event. I made my predictions. So we're going to see if I was right. I will say, it did start with a pre-show that shocked me. It was only a half hour and they had a match on it. Best pre-show they've had in a long time, in my opinion. Trick Williams versus Laredo Kid. Trick won, but like they had a match on the pre-show finally. I asked for that in my first week. They brought out Obafemi too, who says that he's not locked in Hell in the Cell with Brock. Brock's locked in there with him. Iconic words. Very accurate, very accurate. We had Fatal Influence. I also want to say I was correct in the match order. So, props to me on that one. Matter of fact, let's get this going real quick. Very proud of myself because I did good on my predictions, I think. Alright, so Fatal Influence versus Paige and Brie Bella for the titles. Fatal Influence has a very funny way of selling shit, in my opinion. Very good sellers. I don't care if I sound dumb here. I always get nervous when Paige's neck gets targeted. Can never tell if she actually gets hurt or fucked up, because all it took that one time was a drop kick from Sasha Banks in the corner. Or coming out of the corner. Jacy Jayne kept getting involved like I thought. Ultimately helped Fatal Influence get the win. So I'm sure that this will be where Nikki comes back and heel turns on Paige. Fallon Henley got fucked up somehow too. I don't even know, but she had like blood coming from the side of her face. I think it was from the side of her mouth, to be honest. So I'm wondering if like she caught like a boot and it just like cut her in the right spot or something. Backstage, we saw Kathy Kelly with Sami Zayn. He's all worked up about everything. Gunther comes in, tells Sami to stay out of his way tonight. Then we had JD versus Danhausen. JD had a backstage interview beforehand, and he forgot what to say at the end, so it was pretty funny to me. I just figured I'd throw that in there. Basically, he said that he was ridding. He said he was ridding the Judgment Day in the WWE of Danhausen's of the curse that is Danhausen. Sorry. Dom got involved early in the match, which we knew was going to happen. The whole match seemed like just a Dom show, honestly. The Minihausens came out to even the odds and to fuck up Dom a little bit. For a short time. Wade Barrett, very out of pocket, asking if one of the Mini-Housens was Rey Mysterio. Danhausen puts that stuffed cat in the clone machine, while Judgment Day beat on a Mini-Hausen in the ring. Out comes Karl Anthony Towns. He chokeslams JD with ease and Dom through a table easily. He might have a future after basketball because he did that shit easily and very well. So we'll see. We will see. Lyra says after this match, Bayley will be out of her head forever. Lyra walked away, and Jackie just says, I think she's out of her mind. But, yep, that match is up next. Lyra came out to new music to go with her dark character. It started good, and then it went to shit. It started, like, dark, mysterious, like, gothy, and then it had, like, that poppy fucking bullshit that they keep fucking doing. They really need to go back to Jim Johnson or something. But, the makeup person also needs a raise for how they make Lyra look physically fucking ill. Bayley takes it to Lyra early. Wade's got some one-liners this entire show also. He said Lyra needs a week in the spa and a makeover. Not wrong, she looks like shit. So again, props to the makeup person. Lyra definitely broke her nose in this match too. She caught Bayley had her against the apron on the outside, and then she hit her with the forearm right here, right in the fucking bridge of Lyra's nose. Looked super painful. Gross amount of blood. The refs kept having to stop this one to give her a towel and have doctors look at it. Kind of reminded me of when Nia Jax busted Becky Lynch's nose. So I give Lyra mad props because the ref definitely wanted to stop this one. The second her nose got broke, and she shoved him away multiple times to keep this match going. Bayley put a crossface on Lyra during this match too. While it's clearly obvious that Lyra has a broken nose, so if she put any amount of pressure on there, that's just so rude. That is gnarly work if that's what happened, but Lyra picked up a clean win, but refused to release the hold. She finally did, and then she attacked Bayley on the outside. I looked away at the complete wrong time, so I missed what she did to her on the steel steps. But something happened on the steel steps. I don't know if it's an injury angle, but they both might be on an injury thing right now. But yeah, Lyra got fucked up real bad. So hopefully she's okay. These Irish girls, when they get broken noses, they go fucking feral and launch their careers with that. So we'll see what happened to Becky. Now we got the main event: CM Punk and Cody versus Gunther and Sammy. Tensions are playfully building between Punk and Rhodes for their SummerSlam match. CM Punk starts it with a bitch slap while Sammy's doing his entrance. Sammy was on the top turnbuckle, panning to the crowd or whatever. And Punk slapped him. But yeah, anyway. Zayn busted Punk's nose now, so we got 2 busted noses from this show. I wonder if there's actual heat in there somewhere, because it looked like they were kind of being stiff with each other a little bit. There was an Anaconda Vice going on. I think he had it on Gunther, and then I believe Rhodes had Sami Zayn in the figure 4 at the same time. No, backwards, because Gunther rolled over. So Rhodes had the figure 4 on Gunther, and the Anaconda Vice was on Sammy. So Gunther ended up rolling over, and then he poked Punk in the eye so that Punk released the Anaconda Vice on Sammy. Punk and Cody keep getting in each other's way. The ref's out, gets knocked out during a pin cover. Sammy got pushed on the ref or something. The ref's out of it. So Gunther hits Cody with the title, or he goes to hit Cody with the title. Here comes Aldis to screw Gunther. Instead, he hits Gunther with the title. Yeah, no, Gunther did hit him with the title. Excuse me. My memory is not serving me well right now. But anyway, he tosses it to the outside. Out comes Aldis from under the ring. Grabs that title. Hits Gunther with it. Cody and Punk win. Rhodes hands the belt to Punk. I don't know if anybody saw this, but there is, I think it's bullshit, but Punk went to put the title up on his belt, caught Rhodes in the eye, let alone the eye that got fucked up at Mania, so. Then Cody pressed him about it backstage, and there was a whole thing. Trick Williams was pulling Cody away. But yeah, WWE posted it and then deleted it, so I'm sure it's work. Then we had Roman come out with Jalen Brunson. Complete fucking love fest, made me sick. Really nauseating. Tyrese Halliburton fakes them out, came out with Seth's theme. Seth attacked Roman from behind. Rollins tells Brunson to stay out of it, brings a chair into the ring. He hit Roman with the stomp on it. Or he was going to hit Roman with the stomp on it, and Jalen Brunson cut him off. Roman gets Seth with the Superman punch and the spear off the distraction. That's how that ended, so pretty fucking stupid if you ask me. Should have been like in the middle of the show and not like, yeah. Anyway. Alright, Collision. Did not like this show. Oh, I didn't even put my fucking ratings. If I remember correctly, I would give this one a like 2.5 and a D rating. Paul White was on commentary though. I absolutely fucking loved that. I wish he was on commentary more. Jack Perry opened up the show versus Nick Wayne, who looks like he is completely inspired by Tyler Breeze's old character. Wayne had a DDT onto Perry onto the ring steps, which looked dope. Then there was an apron spot. There was a diving destroyer to the outside. It did not look good for either of them. But Jack Perry got the win, which I think after his promo on Wednesday was pretty obvious. The match bored me, if I'm keeping it a buck. Speaking of buck, Young Bucks challenged Moxley and Ospreay at Redemption to show Omega that he can't trust them. Further going with what I'm saying, that I think that the Death Riders are going to make Ospreay turn. Cage and Colt cut a promo on the Death Riders and will fight at Redemption for the titles. Kevin Knight came out to have a TNT Championship match against AR Fox. Kevin Knight's supposed to face Darby for the title next week on Dynamite, so he obviously was going to win this one. Then we had Callis Family versus Jobbers, complete squash match. They continue to beat them down after, again, can't say this word, Orange Cassidy's group. That's all I'm going to say. And the Rascals come out for the save. Will Ospreay wants to face his former training partner named Adam Brooks for a warm-up tonight. Mox says him and the Bucks have been allies and enemies, but he has disdain for the Elite. So things at Redemption will be a little bit personal. Again, I'm calling it right now, folks. Alright, Ospreay versus Brooks. They shake hands off the rip, and then when the bell rings, Brooks catches him off guard. The Brooks guy fucking seems pretty good. He was pretty intense and on point through the whole match, so I wouldn't be surprised if we were to see him more on AEW TV, especially with like how important Will Ospreay is to the company. I feel like he could give like a nudge, like, hey, it's my buddy, he's good, ain't he? But anyway, Ospreay got mad at Brooks' heel tactics, and Brooks ended up spitting at him. As Ospreay was going for one of his like signature moves, and Brooks spit at him and stopped him dead in his tracks. Ospreay ended up hitting MMA elbows on him, mad times, brutal. Brooks ended up tapping out, so it didn't continue further. We had a Darby vignette on Kevin Knight. He says he'll humble Knight by taking the title from him. Wants to know how far Kevin's willing to go. We had Athena versus, I'm pretty sure, another jobber. Basically, she beat the shit out of the girl. So, another squash match. Then the Brawling Birds came out too. More jobbers. I don't know what the fuck was going on with this show and the fucking jobbers and the squash matches. Bang Bang Gang came out, cut a promo. They didn't come out. They were backstage, but they cut a promo. Says Finley's too scared to wrestle him, so White calls out Connors for a match on Dynamite. We had Tommaso Ciampa versus Myron Reed. Paul White on commentary says that he hopes Ciampa knows what he's done, referring to Jericho becoming Painmaker again. Back and forth a bit. Had some fun spots. There were 2 over-the-top rope cutters that were absolutely insane. I love those. Like, cutters to me are untouchable in this business. Ciampa got the win though, and then he starts getting in Paul White's face, standing on a chair to say the shit that he's got to get off his chest, basically. Pretty funny that he stood on a chair to like get to Big Show's level. But anyway, says he's better than Jericho, but the Psycho Killer isn't afraid of Painmaker. Tells Show if he wants a fight at Redemption, he can have it, but he needs it to be a no hold barred. So, no hold barred match, Jericho, Ciampa. Redemption. Andrade's in a backstage interview. Davis attacks him. Chokes him out. Next we had Monet. She came out for an interview. It was in her hometown. It was in Boston, so you had to know she was going to get her face on the out there. I was going to say on the screen, but more out there in front of them. But Renee asks her who she's got in the Thekla and Willow match. Says that All In Championship's coming home with her. So basically, she doesn't give a damn who walks out with the title at Redemption. Says that when she hit Thekla with the title, she ran to Japan. Willow also lost to her and ran to Japan. Tells them they can't hide. She says she's going to be the only one walking out of All In. So, again, she don't give a damn. Young Bucks interrupted Cope and Cage. They tell them titles look good on them, but it also looked good on themselves. Christian said, yeah, you may have had them, and you lost them 3 times. Because they're just a thing to them. They don't really care about them, is what he was getting at. Bandito puts his Ring of Honor World title on the line against Adam Priest. Back and forth. I thought this was another quick one, but it wasn't a bad match. Bandito hit a backflip, grabbed the dude off the ground, and deadlift German suplexed him to win. It was sick. Absolutely sick move. Another one that y'all should go watch. Julia Hart and Sky Blue challenged Divine Dominion for the AEW tag titles in a hardcore match for Wednesday on Dynamite. That'll be dope. I love a good hardcore match. Queen Aminata versus Shida for the TBS Championship. Started with them throwing haymakers. Then Shida poked the eyes. Aminata set Shida on a chair and then jumped off the apron onto her. Didn't look the comfiest. Sorry, I was getting a call. But, Aminata was favoring the knee shortly after that, so, something to think about. I don't remember if it was like a work knee or a shoot. It might have been a work, so maybe not something to think about. Whatever. Backtracking. Regress that. So, Shida went to go use her kendo stick, but the ref stopped her. Shida's been playing dirty the entire match. Used the ropes to retain her title. Post-match attack on the Queen. Starts hitting her with the kendo stick. Maya World came out for the save. Shida versus Maya for the TBS Championship at Redemption. So Redemption sounds like it's stacking up pretty good. AAA, I'm gonna breeze through. Again, I'm not very into it, so. Ray opened up the show, says he has the opportunity to fix a wrong. He asks Andrea Bazzarde to come to the ring. She does. He thanks her for being here. He apologized for on behalf of AAA for what happened. Says she didn't deserve it. He wants to compensate her, and on behalf of everyone, he offers her a new contract, same one she had, but more money for her troubles. She says she loves AAA. She accepts. Rice set up qualifiers at the same time, like after that happened, for the Latin American Championship that was vacated because of Vikingo's injury. They're all triple threat matches. These triple threat matches are at the Verano de Escandalo. There's going to be La Parca versus Mecha Wolf versus Dragon Lee. And then there's El Fiscal versus Cruz del Toro versus Psycho Clown. And then there's Almas versus Damian Priest versus Galeno. That's going to be fucking monstrous. But the first qualifier is up tonight. Wagner Jr. defeated Abismo Negro Jr. And Texano Jr. to qualify for the Latin American Championship. It's pretty back and forth the whole match. I don't have much input besides it was a good old-fashioned luchador triple threat. It was old school. It was a good watch. We had Laidra and Laredo Kid find Lola Vice and Mystery Iguana. Laidra says that she kept picking the wrong partners for the mixed match stuff. She says she now has a man that wins championships. Lola tells Iguana that Laidra is still in love with him, which he does a spit take with his water from shock. So, it was a funny moment. There's a spy cam on Psycho Circus. Oh, that's interesting. I feel like they're always on them. But anyway, Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana come to ringside for the match that determines their number one contender for their mixed titles. Laidra and Laredo Kid defeated Apache and Joaquin Wild. Sorry, it took me a minute to remember how to say his name. The women were beating the shit out of each other. Tagged the men in. Laredo Kid put some damage on Wild for a while. Wild started getting some offense in. And then Laidra pulled the rope down, sent Wild to the outside. Laredo went for a moonsault. Wild got the boots up. Girls get back in. Apache was getting the better of Laidra. Somersaults sent on by Apache onto Wild, Laredo, and Laidra. Laredo takes Wild out with a suicide dive. Girls are in the ring. Apache goes to run the ropes. Laredo trips her. Laidra hits a cutter, and that's how they won. They will face Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana next week. Media scrum with Ray. He says he's surprised by Dom's challenge to Los Perros del Mal. Confirms matches that we've been talking about over the past few weeks for Verano de Escalando. The mixed tag titles, Ray Phoenix versus Mini Vikingo for the Cruiserweight title in week 2. And then the Women's World title between Flammer, La Catalina, and Lady Shani for the 3rd week of it. Octagon Jr. is also out with a neck injury and will have a long recovery. Los Perros del Mal, they come to the ring. Daga explains that they are fighting for what they deserve. Angel and Berto are born superstars. Bronco is the most dangerous man in wrestling, and I think he can be one day. I talked about that last week or the week before. And if you see Carmen, you're screwed. Daga was chosen by Pero Iguayo that he could be trusted to carry the flag, the Los Perros del Mal flag. They make the rules, and they will be a nightmare for the locker room. He accepts Dom's challenge. Says God forgives, but Los Perros don't. Dirty Dom and El Grande are on the stage. Ray and Bravo by commentary, and then they all brawled to end it. So there is that. And now we're gonna get into my favorite part of the week. Pipe bombs! Whoop, shit. Anyway, number one, I got a couple this week. Number one, why do King and Queens of the Ring never do the gimmick anymore? Like, they don't come down with the crown, they don't, like, King Booker, fucking Mabel even back in the day did the shit. Just seems meaningless now. It's just like a number one contender match. They don't carry the gimmick, and the gimmick was kind of funny. Like, if you got the right person, it can work. So that's my beef with that. Judgment Day just feels like a girl group now. Feels like Dom and JD are just background characters in it. So it's another thing. I feel like that group needs to separate soon. It's been too long and drawn out for no reason. If I'm a TNA knockout, and if an NXT talent advances in the tournament, I'm pissed. Like, I understand that they're throwing like NXT people in there in that Knockout TV title championship tournament thing. But why are we letting an NXT talent win that? I just feel like that's a slap in the face if you're working your ass off for this company and they're gonna let you lose to somebody who's not even in the same company. But whatever, I digress again. I also feel like I have to retract my comments from last week of there not being a heel commentator on TNA. Matty Boy did a good job this week of healing it up. So I take that back. There is a heel commentator. And does Fatal Influence remind anybody else of Absolution? Gives me the same exact vibes. There's nothing wrong with it. It works. Just seems like it's something else that was repeated, you know. Anyway, that's it this week for Hardcam Heat. If you got something to say, good. That means I am doing my job as always. Till then, well, I'll catch you later. Until then, let's catch some heat. Y'all have a great week. Oh, time out. I might be changing the days that I release these. So I might double release this week. I might start releasing on the weekends because it's easier for me. So I will let y'all know on my social media pages. Just look up Hardcam Heat on all social media. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening, liking, commenting, following. This process is still new. We're still figuring it out. But we will get there. So thank you. Y'all have a blessed one. Hardcam Heat.